Let's skip the pleasantries and get straight to the point. Greta Thunberg on climate change is nothing more than fear-mongering, intellectual dishonesty, and abuse of statistical analysis for controversy's sake. Starting with her views, she's too vague on what precisely she wants done to fix the world's climate crisis. She wants the world to eat less or to stop eating red meat, to fly less or to stop flying entirely, to put crumbling ecosystems through rehabilitation, to end deforestation, to relocate funding from fossil fuel ventures towards natural climate solutions, to stop aiming for net zero emissions, and to avoid using nuclear power. Nowhere in her statements on what needs to be done does she ever give precise examples. Through my research, I found several real solutions to a majority of what she wants to be done, but they aren't without faults, and by her admission, they aren't good enough based on them being somewhat theoretical. Boats contribute 3% to the global CO2 levels, and there aren't any transmeridian railways connecting the Americas to the other side. Hence, the most effective way of relieving CO2 stress in transportation is by resorting to biofuel. Biofuel in the form of B100, E85, and biojet fuel are examples of fuel replacements for fossil fuels, and thus wouldn't need the world to change what it's already doing by much. The issue being that B100 is a 33% consumer cost increase, E85 is an 11% increase, biojet fuel is a 540% increase, and E85 is only 85% biofuel. Even within realistic terms, biofuel isn't at a stage in which it's economically viable, nor does it meet the true zero emissions standard that Greta wants. Methane production is the other main contributor to climate change and has many solutions, but they don't cover it all. You have microorganism introduction into wastewater and livestock stool, LFG to energy conversion, and proper preventative maintenance for rice paddies. They include a massive portion of what causes methane, but they don't tackle coal mining or gassy livestock, which are the biggest offenders. Without total elimination or theoretical sciences, there isn't a true zero emissions solution that'll happen promptly. Speaking of coal mining, one of the best solutions that aren't a net zero emissions producer is nuclear power. But she has a problem. Greta doesn't personally like nuclear power, views it as of little impact, and feels it's extremely dangerous. If we were to build a global network of traveling wave reactors that used molten salts as coolant, could eliminate nuclear waste, utilize thorium, and replace dirty energy altogether. Then again, that is a combination of theoretical science and nuclear power, which is unacceptable to Greta despite groups like Yale and NEI viewing it as not only necessary, but the safest and most effective alternative to dirty energy. Not even the traditional green energy alternatives are good enough for Greta because they're net zero. Solar farms, wind farms, hydroelectric farms, and even wireless electric transportation aren't true zero solutions due to the nature in their production. The batteries that go into storing the electricity, no matter how efficient, still harm the environment. The only sensible thing she suggests we do is the elimination of deforestation and the rehabilitation of dying ecosystems. We have already seen aggressive efforts in replanting trees over 2019. With plants like hemp and bamboo being suitable fast-growing replacements for wood, we could change the infrastructure around wood-based products to use the two previously mentioned plants instead. The only major issue being the cost to retool and rebuild, but the profitability of not having to wait for growing trees and the significant upside of fixing crumbling ecosystems is more than enough justification. In the end, what's left is her reasoning. She is, for all intents and purposes, a climate apocalypse fearmonger. She pushes the falsehood of the world ending in 12 years, despite the science behind it. It's only an estimate on when irreparable damage could be done and could start to snowball if action isn't taken. The dramatic measures suggested aren't even a part of the scientific consensus on climate change, so in truth, the research I came up with is the most realistically liberal you could conceive given the knowledge we have today. And there are her statements on not worrying about being in a state of panic on climate change despite there being no need for alarm because the scientific consensus tells us that dramatic measures aren't needed. You can extrapolate her intentions behind her actions, but I'm not about to make a red herring towards the end of the video, so I'll leave it off here. Feel free to look into all of what I've said in this video and have a good day.